Greetings, my friends. Hope you're doing well. Dr. Faisal Sami here, board-certified radiologist and CEO of Chicago Telerad. I want to share with you a conversation I recently had with a radiologist that called me. So I talked to about 20 to 30 new radiologists every single month. All kinds of things from wanting to work with us, advice about scribes, business advice, life coaching, which I do for free. I just talk to some radiologists and the conversation just carries on and on. But this one particular radiologist I talked to, he told me, he's like, I am the hardest working radiologist on the planet. I work 16 hours a day. I get up 5 a.m. and go to bed at 12 a.m. and I read hundreds of cases every day, and nobody can be as productive as I can. And I told him, well, you're working really, really hard, but you're doing a very, very low leverage activity. And my statement to him was that hard work alone will not equal success. And there was a long pause. I was like, what do you mean? You know, I work really, really hard. I go, well, you work hard, but you have very, very low leverage. So I told him about the concept of leverage. I said, unless you have leverage in what you're doing, you could be doing very, very low level activities for a very, very long period of time and attain a certain level of productivity. But unless you add leverage, you're not going to really get to that productivity. So you could have work, but unless you have leverage with that work, you're not going to gain the productivity gains, right? And so the name of the game right now in radiology is productivity. Every organization that we interact with, radiology practices, hospitals, big box companies, imaging centers, the name of the game is productivity. So whether that's more and more tools being added onto the radiologist's belt, AI, for example, more and more tools that are going to, make you more productive. That's what they say. However, there's going to be an upper limit in terms of how productive you're going to be, because if you're just alone, because you have to put all the energy in to make all that happen. So I define this as the low leverage radiologist. That's the silo radiologist, right? One person, one dictaphone, one workstation, doing everything themselves. So the more and more tools you have, you still got to provide all the energy to make all that happen. And in my opinion, that's very, very inefficient. What I would much rather see is a high leverage radiologist, and that's a radiologist who works with a team, right? So unless you have a team, you're not going to be able to increase your productivity. You're going to hit a certain upper limit, and then that's pretty much it. So I've been working with teams in teleradiology for many, many years with multiple radiologists who've demonstrated that working with scribes in particular can increase your productivity because it's a high leverage activity. But just a note about teams. So in my opinion, for teleradiologists, you need to have a team. You need to have somebody on the business side and somebody on the clinical side. And on the business side, we'll talk about that. That's typically an administrative person. You can't just delegate it out to a big box company. That's a really huge mistake. They tell you, leave the business to us, just love what you do, practice medicine. This is a huge mistake. This is akin to putting your head in the sand and being oblivious to everything else around you. Don't fall for that. You need to have some business acumen, and you need to have somebody in your corner who's helping you, guiding you, administering things for you on the business side of things. But more importantly, on the clinical side of things, you need to have somebody who's going to help you create your report. It's not enough for you to just be using more and more tools. You need to have a team. You need to have scribes, because the reality is the only way to get more productive is more RVUs per hour. That's what's the name of the game right now, and it's rapidly getting squeezed ever so more and more. When I first started practice back in 2003, 30, 40 cases a day, that was considered a productive day. Now it's definitely 100 plus, 100, 150, 200 cases a day. So when you're using scribes, what you're doing is you're actually decreasing your report creation time. And this is what allows us to spend more of our time on the images. That results in higher quality. Our radiologist reports are definitely higher quality. When I'm working with a scribe, I can focus on the images. I don't have to look back and forth. I don't have to kind of guess what the voice recognition is doing. For me, that leads to less stress. I'm less stressed when I'm reading. My radiologists are much less stressed because they can just focus on the images and then they look at a final report once it's all completed by the scribe. So I describe this as a ratio, and we look at, in our practice, image analysis time over report creation time, right? And so if your image analysis time over report creation time is greater than 1.0, less than 1.0, that's a low leverage activity. You need that number to be higher than 1.0. Lower than 1.0, if you're like 0.8, if you're at 0.6, if you're just spending more time on the report than you are in the images, that's a fundamental flaw. So in our practice, across our radiologists, we try to get that image analysis time over the report creation time greater than 1.0, and that's high leverage. Typical IA to RC ratios in our practice can go 1.25 for somebody starting out, 1.50, 1.75, and even 2.0. So we have radiologists who are incredibly productive, who decrease their report creation time, let somebody else do all that, and increase their image analysis time. So what you want to do is don't be a hard worker who is doing something low leverage. Don't be a low leverage hard worker. That's a recipe for burnout and disaster. What you want to do is become a high leverage worker, right? You're going to need baseline of activity, but you want to increase your productivity. And the only way to get that is through leverage. The only way to do that in teleradiology is to work in teams. You need somebody on the business side, and you need scribes to help you out. We've been doing this for many, many years across multiple radiologists. You need to come talk to us. We're going to be doing weekly Zoom networking sessions where we talk about anything and everything teleradiology. We talk about scribes, about the business of teleradiology. You get to interact with myself and our team and the things that we're doing to make your life much easier. So my name is Dr. Sami, Faisal Sami, and I look forward to meeting you and networking with you on our next Zoom session. Thank you.